Imagine being Aniya from Love Island, and the second your photos get posted publicly to the internet, everyone starts calling you a catfish and shaming how you look. And not only that, but when you get on the show, you actually look the exact same as your Instagram photos. And then instead of the internet being like, oh shit, my bad, they actually double down and still decide to be mean to you because they can't admit they're wrong.
But then there's all this other goalpost moving for Aniya too, which is why I say it honestly seems like sometimes she cannot do any right, no matter what she does. What's up, everybody? It's a Thursday, which means yesterday was Wednesday, which means there was no episode of Love Island. So on days like this, I like to go around and find other people's takes, and there's lots and lots of takes since movie night. The discourse on Annayia and Casey remains the most out there and the most heated, I must say. The thing that's always been bothering me this entire season, I've been talking about it a lot. Hopefully this is the last time I have to. All of these people attacking Annayia since jump. Like, Annayia can do no right, and then there's a large group of people that baby Casey and coddle him, even though they're 1 year apart. You know, Casey is young, but so is Annayia, but she gets hate for everything and has this entire season. I'm going to try not to, be hard on Casey today. There's still going to be two things we're going to have to talk about, though, and that's his whining about Night One Door and standing up during that argument. But let's listen to, one of the defenses I've heard for Casey a lot over the past week, and that's how it's not Casey's fault that the Casey and Annayia relationship fell apart. It's everyone but Casey's fault.
I have never seen such snake jealous behavior in my life. Play by play, stay with. Zach goes and devises a plan. He talks to other guys outside of KC about Casey and Annaya's connection. I don't think they have that great of a connection. They got all these problems. They got all of this. Then when they get in a challenge, he brings up something that does not exist, something that was an idea. He plays on Annaya's mental because he knows that they have the strongest connection in the house, but he also knows that Annayia falls for the okie doke every time.
I mean, where you lose me on this, I've talked about this before because there's people blaming Bryce for this too. This is now Zach's fault. Maybe it's both of their faults. Saying Casey and Annayia had the strongest connection, but it was broken by a game of telephone, does not make logical sense whatsoever. Because if it was the strongest connection, it would have survived a game of telephone. Now, I do think that Zach is definitely a game player, and Zach definitely did get into Annaya's mind, but Annayia already was in her head regarding Casey because her intuition was correct with the fact that Casey just saw her as a safe option, because when he's going around saying stuff like we have nothing in common, come casa, well then yeah, it makes it look like the weeks before were him just playing it safe and keeping her as a safe option. But these are the kind of takes that I find on Casey. Everything is always someone else's fault but not Casey's. What I don't understand is how some people can sit there and act like the Casey at the beginning is the same Casey right now.
I feel like what's going over a lot of people's heads who are confused at the backlash Casey has been getting over these last couple of episodes is the fact that the Casey that we're getting now is not the same Casey we were getting at the beginning of the season. The Casey that we got at the beginning of the season portrayed himself to be a lot more respectful, a lot more of like a gentleman. And I feel like what we've been seeing over these last couple of episodes is how men treat women when they're no longer interested in having sex with them.
Yeah, and I do think that is another change in Casey. All Casey wanted at the beginning was Annayia to be more sexual, and he couldn't get that, and he was already feeling some kind of way because of his insecurities. And like I said yesterday, I don't think Annayia liked being pushed to do things more sexually. She needed to feel more comfortable first. And I said all along, and I was never going to do that on national television, and she's still not. So you flip all of the defending of Casey where people coddle him, and then even before the season started, Annayia was getting all of this hate.
Imagine being Aniya from Love Island, and the second your photos get posted publicly to the internet, everyone starts calling you a catfish and shaming how you look. And not only that, but when you get on the show, you actually look the exact same as your Instagram photos. And then instead of the internet being like, oh shit, my bad, they actually double down and still decide to be mean to you because they can't admit they're wrong.
People have been shaming her photos since they came out. She doesn't look like her Instagram. And then the show started. She looked like her Instagram in motion. People have been on her hair this entire season, still on her hair. But then there's all this other goalpost moving for Aniya too, which is why I say it honestly seems like sometimes she cannot do any right, no matter what she does.
They hate that you didn't pick a guy, and then when you do pick him, they hate on you for that too. And then they hate on you by the way you act in the couple because you're actually trying to pursue him, even though he's telling you complete lies the entire time. And not only that, but imagine when your man, who has been telling you the whole time that he's like really wants you and doesn't want other women, actually picks another girl and humiliates you all over national television, and the entire time, like hundreds, thousands of men come start watching Love Island strictly just to hate on you and support Casey and basically put him on this pedestal. The truth is you all hate successful black women, and I have realized that with the show. She deserves the biggest apology, like, out of every Islander. Like, y'all never liked her in the beginning. Y'all hated on y'all nitpicked every choice she made. Y'all hated on her looks just for being herself.
Yeah, Annayia has been hated for everything this season, no matter what she did or didn't do. Colorist accusations, despite picking Casey over Carl, but that didn't. Then the goalpost just moved. Then it became, oh, Casey did not do anything wrong. I swear in these past few days, I've seen takes like, how was Casey disrespectful? People were asking, how was Casey really disrespectful? But now that movie night has happened, it has changed to, oh, well, the girls are hypocrites. Why don't they have the same energy for Sincere? Now do people see that Casey was disrespectful? Did they have to move the goalposts again? Because that's what it feels like. Meanwhile, Casey has constantly fucked himself on the show. Because this woman does a great assessment of that night one at the door and why it hurt Casey from his own doing.
So Casey's door was empty night one, right? That's the point y'all and Casey keep harping on. Now, in case y'all forgot, this door challenge was a compatibility challenge. Sean and Bea met at the doors 3 times. Trinity and Bryce met at the doors 3 times. Zach and Kenzie met at the doors twice. Annayia and Sincere met at the doors twice. And Melanie and Zach met at the doors twice. Casey and Annayia met at the doors 1 time. Melanie, Trinity, and Kenzie also met with Casey 1 time. However, the responsibility to couple up with Casey was put on Annayia, and the other 3 girls who also had one thing in common with him, nobody gave a fuck that they weren't in front of his door.
So night one, we had that kissing challenge at the door with all these questions that you had to answer and see who was on the other side. Who are you compatible with these answers? Casey's answers were stupid, which we're about to get into. But more than just Annayia kissed him 1 time. Multiple women kissed him 1 time. So why did it fall on Annayia to be the one to have to pick Casey when, like this woman assessed, she met Sincere at the door twice?
Casey's door was empty because the way he was answering the questions made him the least compatible. And let's talk about the way he was answering them questions, okay? The second question was, what type of person are you? Of the options to choose from, dogs, cat, and plant. Casey stood in front of the plant door and he was the only one there. There was no woman on the other side of his door. In the confessional, when he talks about picking the plant door, he says, and I quote, I picked the plant door. I'm thinking I'm being edgy and shit. I'm thinking women love plants. No, bro, like that was not a good decision. That was like low key. Nah, that was like high key embarrassing.
So Casey admitted himself in the very first episode that he chose in a way that wasn't a real answer. It was just in a way where he thought other people would think, which is already a way to screw yourself when it comes to compatibility. And it kind of should have showed us from jump that Casey has a tendency to not keep it real, choosing fake answers from jump.
Now let's talk about that, because he didn't say I picked the plant door because I love plants. He said I picked the plant door because I'm thinking women love plants. So what that tells me is that Casey wasn't answering all these questions based off of his genuine answers. He was thinking, what are the girls thinking? He was trying to be different. He was trying to be edgy. He was trying to up his aura, and the shit fucking backfired because it made him the least compatible with all the girls.
So right from jump, yes, Casey was doing things to not be honest, actually, to not be honest and try and see who he was really compatible with. And yet he used this against the women the entire time. So Casey can't blame himself. And clearly all of these Casey defenders baby him for every decision he possibly makes.
I'm going to say the quiet part out loud and say that I think a lot of you hate Annayia because she didn't put out when a lot of you would have. There, I said it. So many women, especially like in my DMs with my opinions about Casey and Aniya, who have so much venom and vitriol when it comes to this girl, and I was trying to really sit and ask myself why that is, and I think it's because she held a boundary that a lot of you have not learned to hold. She knew that something wasn't right, like what he was saying and the actions of her being like she wanted to be treated like a princess. He's not doing that. She wanted to feel secure. He's not doing that. She knew something wasn't amiss, call it intuition, even at her young age, and held steadfast on her boundary.
This is an interesting take because this is definitely a reason for a lot of these red-pilled dudes that are now defending Casey for everything, while they always help move the goalposts for Aniya and say every bad thing about Aniya that they can. The concept of this being a reason for women too is interesting though. And because the show makes people parasocial, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility of this not being true. A lot of people already don't like Aniya because she has an NBA father and comes from a good upbringing. And, add in her actually having discernment. I do think that could be a reason why certain people hate Aniya too. That's another criticism of Aniya, that she is classist, when really people have been classist against her, judging her for, actually coming from a good family.
I was really trying to figure out, why do y'all, have it out for this girl? Y'all want her to be punished. Y'all are saying she's overreacting when I don't think that she's overreacting. And another thing, a lot of you big titty women are trying to judge her, but y'all are judging her from your 30-something, 40-something-year-old lived experience, and you should have a little bit more emotional maturity or intelligence over your lived experience of learning things that she has not at 22 or 23. I don't like that either.
Nobody has used Aniya's age to her defense one time, but it is done for Casey, even though they are 1 year apart. And there are a lot of old heads saying stupid shit. Aniya has been judged for crying, some of them laughing at Aniya's breakdown rather than having empathy. But also, the irony to me is a lot of these old heads I've seen do not have much emotional intelligence. Threads, especially, is littered with women over 35 who have been on the hate train against Aniya all season, but want to give grace to Casey despite them giving zero grace to Aniya.
And y'all derogatorily call me an old hoe on Twitter, and that's fine. That's my home. The hoes older than me, though, on that threads, are freaking nuts. The Casey defenders on threads are a whole nother level.
Yeah, there have been Casey defenders on threads and elsewhere, but especially on threads, that went along with every switch up on why they hate Aniya, from her hair to she being allegedly colorist, to she is a mean girl bully, to she never really liked Casey even though she chose him 4 times, to she is way too emotional, to now I feel like people are saying Aniya is abusive. Ah yes, the same Aniya who we have seen be nothing but respectful to Casey for 4 weeks. But now she pushes back against his slander and it's abusive. A lot of these people have to be willfully obtuse to not be able to understand that Aniya just saw the video of Casey talking all of this shit behind her back while he was lying to her face. But then it becomes, oh, how dare she react? Aniya is getting shit by these older women for standing up after Casey stood up first. I said this yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. Standing up during an argument when everyone is sitting down is escalation. That is the initial escalation. Whether you like it or not, that is what Casey did. Period. I know the excuse is Casey just wanted to be heard. Yeah, I'm sure the same Casey who pulled Aniya for a chat after 2 days of ignoring her and wanting her to speak first instead of himself just wanted to be heard. But even if Casey's intention in standing up was not to be intimidating in an argument with women, standing up will always be intimidating. And like I said yesterday, if he was arguing with a guy and stood up, most other guys would stand up too because it's like he wants to tussle. I don't care if they were on separate couches. If he would have stood up during an argument, shouting at another guy, the other guy might get up too because it looks like we're escalating the situation. Standing up during an argument is escalation. Doesn't matter the sex, because I even feel the same way that if it's a woman arguing with another woman, they're both sitting down, one of them stands up, still, that's the escalation in the first place. At least a lot of younger women on Threads are trying to hold Aniya down. Casey stood up first and Aniya sat Casey down. And I have a hot take that I have not seen. You know, all of this discourse around this moment is going on. And what if I say that Casey liked it? We saw when TT started an argument with Casey after only knowing him for 24 hours and was showing to be a little crazy. He kind of liked that. In fact, it's probably more than kind of, I say so. I think Casey saw TT's passion for him in that moment, and he might have saw it again in this moment.
And another thing, the pearl clutching that y'all are doing at Annayia cussing Casey out from the girlies who pride themselves on how bad they talk to men. And I run a strict program. Annayia standing up after he stood up and yelling at him with her voice cracking in a Valley Girl accent. She said 3 words in his face and walked away. Y'all clutch y'all pearls today. Y'all saying she's abusive and she's emasculating the black man. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. What are we talking about? Like you never yelled at a man before. You'll be all right. And we in Love Island. These kids is 23. They on this island eating avocado toast and grilled cheese every day. They hungry and angry. She wasn't gonna hit him. He's fine. He's fine. Now TT, he gonna have to worry about. She's gonna hit him. TT's going to hit him.
And you know, a lot of people who criticize Aniya, Trinity, Kata, and I guess Melanie too, for being the mean girls and the bullies, have to defend TT at all costs, they feel like. Even though we see TT 2 episodes in a row being super shady behind the women's back while being nice to their face. That's definitely mean girl stuff. Let's move on to Sincere and the reactions to Sincere at his movie night so far. He's gonna have a part 2, but part 1 left everyone in the cast in shock.
They talking about something. Why did everybody scream at Casey but not Sincere? Baby, you can't scream when you gagged like that. Everybody in that villa was cringing at the exact same time. I ain't never seen so many oohs and ahs. Shoot, they gagged me. I almost forgot about what this man was doing. Like, I didn't remember it was that bad.
Yeah, I don't think people understood, especially on the cast, just how much lying and manipulation Sincere was doing to all the women he's been close to so far this season. Because yeah, the cast had these looks on their faces that was like, what the hell, Sincere?
These are the faces of people who just realized that they spent 4 weeks in a house with a pathological liar. The guys are going through and seeing how bad Sincere was lying. You have Casey side. Hold on. This is my favorite image. Corbin had to put his head down. Casey is just gagged. Gal's in the back like this is crazy.
The guys didn't even know what to say about Sincere's video. It was that bad. And also, like I said yesterday, I do feel as though Casey's video versus Sincere's video. In Casey's video, a lot of the guys were looking guilty themselves because Casey was saying all this stuff to them. Where in Sincere's video, it was basically all except for one clip, I think. Sincere just two-timing Soul and Melanie doing the same exact things to both of them. The difference on social media with Sincere and Casey is Sincere does not have these people defending him with their lives like they have Casey out there, which is why I don't feel like I don't see all these hot takes on Sincere to include in videos like this, because there really is not a Sincere defense squad out there like there is for Casey. One thing Sincere has over Casey though is he's never gone around bashing Melanie, seeming like he hates Melanie, like he wants revenge on Melanie, which is how Casey has come off for a couple of weeks now. And yet Sincere's video showed us all how dastardly the guy is.
Okay, so I feel like the impulse that a lot of people are going to have after movie night is to say that the girls had a lot of smoke for Casey, but they didn't have any smoke for Sincere. But I feel like it was something deeper. The hush that fell over the villa after that video of Sincere, it transcended anger. It was the sound of 20-somethings realizing that they are in the presence of a true villain. It wasn't something that you get mad to. It's something that you go home and you get your beads and you pray over.
And I do agree with that, because some of these looks on the faces of even the men were truly a bit horrified with Sincere after watching that video. People are starting to be upset with Trinity, or there's like a campaign against Trinity. She's been probably the most popular person this season. People now trying to turn on her because she argues too much, I guess, with the men.
Trinity, please shut the F up, dude. You're getting annoying. It's so freaking annoying how you want to butt into Naya's conversation so bad.
Yeah, it's getting bad for Trinity if people are hiding in their closets, probably at their mom's house, recording videos against Trinity. But the irony of, like, Trinity won't let Casey speak in this last episode, that's one of these things out there against Trinity, is when Trinity wanted Casey to speak at the recoupling, Casey couldn't speak because TT was speaking for him. But I don't really think this war against Trinity is gonna work, because I gotta tell y'all, white people love Trinity, and they're really starting to love Trinity and Bryce, and I really feel like they are getting the white vote so far this season. Although on Love Island, the white vote doesn't usually matter too much, but if it's the white vote plus more votes, it's gonna be hard for Trinity to lose this season unless she has a really bad last week.
I keep seeing the edits of like Trinity and Bryce, and that shit gets me every time.
Big fan of the reaction to Corbin and Parmita closing off their relationship or closing off their connection was literal crickets. Jen was the only one to give a statement, and it was the biggest nothing burger of a statement I've ever seen in my life. When Bryce and Trinity announced that they were closed off and boyfriend and girlfriend, it was a production. We had cinema, we had flashbacks, we had the whole episode is surrounded by this, by the way.
I think this is the first season of Love Island USA where the white people's favorite is a black woman in Trinity. I do feel that way, because even in season 6, you know, Serena, Janae, they had a lot of support, but white people were supporting Leah more than anybody else. Last year, I feel like the white vote at the end of the day was going towards Iris and Pepe. Thankfully, the white vote did not do much last season, because that would have been a hot mess, judging by Beyond the Villa. Not that last year's winners were good anyway, but this year I do think a lot of people in diverse backgrounds in America are kind of on the Trinity train.
One more thing about this fucking Love Island shit, okay? If Bryce and Trinity are fooling us out of $100,000, why do you care? Is your $100,000? Are you paying them? Is it coming out of your pocket? Didn't think so. If they're fooling all of us, give them a fucking Oscar too, because they're the best thing to come out of the show. They're so fucking cute. They've made us cry. What have you done? Complain. Shut the fuck up.
So we will see if anything can stop Bryce and Trinity from winning. You know, the Carl and Aniya fan base could grow. Outside of that, I don't really know who else can win unless Caleb gets with someone that isn't just as useless television as he is. Let's end this video shitting on Zach, though, who has not gotten enough shit these past couple of weeks because his edit has been reduced, and he didn't get his due, in my opinion, at movie night yet. He better in part 2 tonight.
But I want to talk about Zach because I feel like Zach is not getting his wax, and I'm here to play fucking whack-a-mole. I could not have worded this better myself. Every time Zach apologizes, there's an undertone of, so what, get over it. That's exactly what it is. And he apologized, and he interrupts her too. Not only that, but he interrupts her to say what he wants to say, and then he'll say her feelings are valid, like therapy speak. Him and Sincere use the fuck out of therapy speak.
This is true. I don't feel like Zach has ever truly validated Kata's feelings. I mean, I always talk about how their relationship just seems so hollow as it is, and that is a part of it. And as she's going to go on to talk about Sincere kind of being the same, yeah, I mean, these apologies from Sincere clearly mean nothing as it is because he doesn't change his ways.
Your feelings are valid. Like, it's okay. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from by not understanding where they're coming from. But there's never any real emotion attached to it. Even when Sincere apologizes to Melanie, or even when he says, like, yeah, you're right. You're right. That's what I do. There's, like, no fucking emotion behind it. Like, Casey can't even hide it, because when Annayia said, you haven't apologized to me once, and he said, I'm sorry, is that good enough?
Honestly, just how defensive the men got after seeing Anayya's video on movie night and them trying to say there's a double standard when they were either actually being dumb like Sincere or just, pretending to be obtuse about the fact that it was the disrespect in Casey's video, that he was talking to the guys the whole time. And then Sincere in his defensive soul says himself that Casey did move disrespectfully, which was the entire point. That was, again, an example of the guys not being able to be culpable for their own actions.
The apologies don't hit because it don't seem like they're really genuinely sorry. Like, Zach gets a fucking attitude every time he gets caught in, like, a lie or something. Same thing with KC. Same thing with Sincere. Sincere gets caught in a lie, and he starts, like, just zoning out.
Yeah, it's been hard to have any love on Love Island this season because of the way the men move, because of the way they're all so hollow. And I knew coming into this season, I said it in my cast assessment before the season even started, that Zach was just going to be here as a brother of somebody that was on this show before, and it's going to be some sort of grift. Did I think coming in he was going to be the biggest game player? Maybe not necessarily, but that's what he definitely is. So I also don't think that helps when he's, apologizing to Kata, even though he's being a huge hypocrite, even though he's the one with the double standard. Because when Kata was talking to Caleb one time, Zach was having a fit for 24 hours about it, only for him to go to Casa and, be kissing all up on racist girl all the time. Come back, Kata's obviously upset, and Zach doesn't really seem like he understands it to me. Like this woman is saying, Zach definitely comes off where he's not really truly understanding why he needs to be sorry for Kata, or to Kata, because he is a big hypocrite. So yeah, Zach better get his movie night tonight. Like, we do need to see Zach being called out for all of his manipulations.